Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Good evening. It's good to be here. I have found myself over certainly the last week, talking even more about fear and all aspects of fear and what fear means and the benefits of fear. And yes, there are benefits. And what can we do about it? What should we do about it? How can you use it? I know for myself, I had and was experiencing a good amount of fear last week. Good amount of fear over the weekend. I took a huge leap. A huge leap. And fear came up. No question about that. Now, if you jump on this, say hello. Let me know that you're here. If you watch this later as a replay, please post #replay. Of course, at any point that you are watching this, feel free to ask questions, share your thoughts, share your experiences, because this is an opportunity for us to chat about fear. And I see some people starting to pop up. If you would say hello, let me know that you're here. Monica, hello, Monica. Because sometimes the comments don't always come through, or they take a while to come through. So please say hello. Hello, Melanie, welcome. Good to see you here. It's been a while since we've connected. So one of the first things that I want to say about fear is let's talk about it. Let's get some things out there so that way fear doesn't stop us. Fear doesn't control us. Fear, that we can use it to fuel us and motivate us. Because one of the things that, it may sound a little strange, but one of the things that happened to me last week, I had this aha, hey Kel, was that fear, I got pretty much in fear at some point of every day. Fear comes up all the time. I've been living with it for years. And because I was living with fear, we tend to kind of hold things close. We try to hide it and not let people know really what's going on. At least this is my experience. I'm certainly speaking from my experience and from those of clients and people who have been to my groups, people I've talked to about this. We do everything we can to protect ourselves so that we're okay. That fear can shut us down, can lock things down tight, especially if we've experienced some form of trauma. And now when I say trauma, what that means for you may be very different from what it means by other people that you know, or even me even. And, sometimes what I find when I talk about trauma, people are like, well, I didn't really experience trauma as a kid or as an adult. And yet there have been circumstances or experiences that we've had that does have us living in fear. And so I tend to include that in trauma because we may not even remember what those experiences are because we've left them in our subconscious, and we've moved past it. We've tried to forget it. Our brain has done what it knows to do to protect us, especially as a kid. And so we might not even know what they are. And that's okay. You can call it trauma, you can call it experiences, you can call it limiting beliefs. There's a lot of ways to look at this. What might be right for you, again, might not be right or resonate with somebody else. And I bring this up because it is our circumstances, it is our upbringing, it is the trauma, it is the experiences, it's what we've lived through that has led to us being where we are in this moment. So one of the first things, if you have not already said hello, say hello. And what I'd like to know is, if you felt fear today, post in the comments. Post fear. If you felt fear today. I know I did. Now, yes, some days fear is less. Other days I might experience more fear. It depends on where I'm at, how I'm doing, whether or not I'm taking care of myself. Have I taken breaks? Have I done my deep breathing? Something I do every hour on the hour minimum. And I know my friend Dave recently, over the weekend when I was in New York City with him, was laughing because he's like, you need an alarm clock reminder to breathe. And I was like, ha ha ha. But what I was talking about was that I have an alarm that goes off on my phone that reminds me to stop, do some deep breathing, so that way I can move out of my head and into my body. That way I can take good, full, rejuvenating breaths that help move my body from fight, flight, freeze, or that fear mode, into a more relaxed state. Hey, Heather. So I know Melanie posted fear because she felt fear today. Like I said, I know I did. Last week, my fear was up really high because I was flying into New York City for the first, well, actually, it would have been the first time I ever flew into New York City. It had been probably 15 or more years since I've been to New York City. And I was meeting a whole bunch of people in person for the first time. I was going to a conference for CEOs who are doing really phenomenal work. And I went because I want to learn and wanted to learn how to take the work that I do that has an impact, that gets people results, to an entirely different level. I want more people to be able to experience fucking fantastic. I want them to have fucking fantastic in their life. So I made this huge leap to commit to going to New York City, despite the fear of, what if they don't like me? What if I don't belong? What if I don't fit in? What if I'm not enough? What if I'm not worthy? What if I look stupid? What if people don't like me? On top of, okay, I'm going to get into the airport, and then I'm going to get from the airport taking taxi cabs, which where I live, I don't do that. Wherever I've lived, I haven't done that. So taking a taxi, well, some people do it every day, all the time. It's not something I do. Lyft. I took my first Lyft ride over the weekend. There was so many firsts that I knew were coming. My fear was up. Now, Melanie says fear and excitement feels pretty close. Yes. And so we have to be discerning, because one, fear has a purpose. On a base level, a survival level, like literally a survival level, fear is designed to keep us safe. So we want that mechanism functioning. We want that mechanism functioning. And on the other hand, when it is excitement and when we are in fact safe, we want to be able to use that fear, to move through that fear, because fear showing up at that time usually says, hey, you're on track. You're about to take a leap into something phenomenal, potentially phenomenal, with huge rewards. Melanie, and for anybody else who's still with us, how do you discern the difference between fear and excitement? I'd love to know what you think about that. And can excitement and fear happen at the same time? I know I would say yes, because I was excited about New York City when I got out of my head and got out of all the details I had to take care of. What do I pack? What's the weather going to be? I'm going to be doing a lot of walking. Does the outfit work with walking? I mean, all these details. So I could get caught up in my head. But once I got in my body, I could get excited, even though there was fear there. So how do you tell the difference between fear that's tied to excitement and it saying, yes, good things are happening here, and fear that truly is, you are not safe? And then the fear in the middle. Because when I say fear, and I want to differentiate, fear that says you're truly not safe, like you're about to be attacked. You're walking around in New York City in a place by yourself that you don't know. It's late at night and you find yourself turned around and in a place that is scary. Yes, if fear is up, it's probably a good thing. It's going to keep you on your toes. It's going to keep you safe. I did not have any scary experiences in New York City, by the way. I had wonderful experiences. Despite getting lost and turned around at times, I had really good experiences. But then we have the fear experience where, because of things we've experienced as a kid, things that are now in our subconscious, because of limiting beliefs, because we don't want to fail, fear can also come up in those circumstances that has us feeling unsafe, that has us questioning and doubting what we're wanting to do, or what we're considering doing, or what we decided we were going to do an hour ago or a day ago, but now that doubt and fear is creeping in. How many of you have had this experience? That even though you're nervous and afraid of something, you're excited because you know it's really, really good. And so you decide that you're moving forward with it. And then you decide, and then that voice or that feeling that's inside gets stronger because it's like, oh shit, what did I just do? If you've experienced this, raise your hand, post something in the comments that says like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I've had that. And I'm waiting to see who says yes to that. Because I don't know anybody who hasn't had that experience. But that's part of what happens with fear too, is that we feel alone in it. Kelly says me. Me too. And when that fight, flight, freeze, that part of our nervous system, again, that's designed to keep us safe, is activated. That's literally what our body is focused on. It's focused on, we've got to keep you safe, which means we're not making decisions from a place of what's in my highest and best interest long term. What's a loving thing to do? What's a gentle thing to do? What is my being, the core of who I am, calling me to do? Decisions that we make when we are in this state of fight, flight, freeze, the answers that we receive are literally about survival. So can you imagine that if you're making decisions in that fight, flight, freeze state, that might not be the best way to make decisions that are not about survival. Does that make sense? You know, sometimes people wonder why they keep struggling, why they keep experiencing the same patterns again and again and again, why they're just getting by, why there's just enough. And often it's because decisions are being made from that state of fight, flight, freeze, from that state of fear. So if we want different results, one of the first things that we can do is to move from that full fear phase into an energy state where there's less fear. Yeah, it might be hanging around at the edge. You're about to do something new. So the nervous system's on alert. The nervous system is going, ooh, I don't know about this. But if we address it, get back into our body, which can be often as easy as, okay, I'm going to get back in my body. I do it when I close my eyes. I imagine my focus moving from my head literally into my body. I do some nice, easy, deep breaths. I feel the tension leave my body, certainly decrease. And then making a decision from there often will get you more effective answers and then results. So again, for those who are here, how many of you experienced fear today? If you did, raise your hand. And my next question is, if you experienced fear today, did you determine if it's fear because there was something dangerous happening? Was it fear that you weren't really quite sure where it was coming from? Or was it fear that said, ooh, you're onto something, you're about to take a leap, you're doing something that you're called to do, and you're right on track? Because it's important to know the difference, because there are benefits. Obviously, if you're in a dangerous situation and fear comes up, we want our body to engage that fight, flight, freeze response because we want to be okay. And if we are experiencing fear because we're about to take a leap and do something that we're called to do and do something new, that there's excitement in there too, then we still want to make sure we're in our body so that way we can communicate to ourselves, we're on track. Great job. Let's move through this because there's really good stuff happening here. So did you determine which type of fear you experienced today? And if you did, how did you do it? Again, for those who are still with us or those who watch this later, post in the comments because I want to know. I know how I do it. As I shared with you, well, one, I'm going to get in my body. Because when I get in my body, if there's not something dangerous happening, then I know, okay, I'm physically safe. Overall, I'm safe. And then I now have two choices. Is there something exciting happening? Like, woo, about to leap, about to do something fabulous? Or is it a limiting belief or a past trauma, something in our subconscious that's keeping that fear coming up because our nervous system has interpreted it as like, oh, that's not entirely safe and maybe it's not time to do that. Again, if you've got questions, if you've got comments, post them here because I want to know. And why did I decide to have this conversation today? I decided to have this conversation today, like I mentioned. I've been having and talking a lot about fear. And since we are experiencing some form of fear typically every day, well, and let me add this. If you're not experiencing fear every day, again, I'll speak from my experience. When I was not experiencing fear every day, it was because I was living a life I was settling for. I was living in a life where I placed a lot of limits on myself. That I often said no to myself because it was easier. Might not have been big fear, might not have been leaping, potentially joyful fear, but it was fear, that kept me small, that I allowed to keep me small, that allowed me to stay invisible. And yet, even experiencing fear on a daily basis, I decided some time ago that I wanted to live my fucking fantastic life. A life that gets me excited, that allows me to have conversations like this, that allows me to fly to New York City and meet phenomenal people doing really awesome work and learning how I can take what I do to the next level and get it out to more people in a way that feels really good and joyful for me, and that people leave going, that was phenomenal. That's what I see in my future. And that's the fear that says, okay, again, on track. And so if I'm going to feel fear, I want it because I'm stepping more fully into me, that I'm showing up fully as me, versus, oh, you know what, I'm going to stay over here in my small, invisible little space, because then at least I know this fear. We've kind of got comfortable. Well, yeah, I'm about to drop it. Fuck that. Fuck that. It's time for fucking fantastic, whatever that looks like for you. For me, it's being tuned in, it's being turned on, it's passionate about art and about connecting with people and about helping people heal, about helping people develop a relationship with themselves. So that way they come to know and love themselves and what's unique about them that the world wants more of. That I have the freedom and flexibility, like I did today, to go out and hike in the woods, to spend time shortly, about an hour, with my wife, that I can travel, that I can meet awesome people, that I can do good work in this world and help take care of the forest and the planet and the people on it. That's my fucking fantastic. And I don't want it to be a hope and a dream. I decided I'm experiencing it. So my question to you, are you ready to choose fucking fantastic, even though there's fear? Yeah, there's going to be fear. I'm going to be blunt. There's going to be fear. But don't you got it already? How many people, for those who are watching, for those who watch this later, are going to say yes? And if this is you, type yes in the comments that despite fear, you're going to choose fucking fantastic. Versus the fear that we know that keeps us safe, that keeps us comfortable, that keeps us small and invisible, because at least we know it. I see people jumping on and off. We're talking about things fear tonight. Different kinds of fear when we're experiencing fear. Melanie says yes. Melanie is saying yes to, okay, there's going to be fear. But let's have fear because we're living outside our comfort zone. Because we're ready for the fucking fantastic in our life. Who else out there is saying yes to fucking fantastic? What it looks like for you. I know we've got other people here, so I want to see more yeses. Who else is saying yes? All right. If anybody else has any questions or comments about fear, about being fearless. To me, fearless, I don't know who's living fearless, again, unless they're going to some extreme, numbing in some way, or I don't know. I don't know anybody. I mean, yes, we'd love to say we're living fearless, but do we really? We've got fear. We just don't want it to stop us, to limit us, to have us being invisible, playing small. Got questions, got comments? Drop them below. If you're watching this as a replay, hashtag replay. If you're not already, if you want to continue this conversation and you're not already in my Facebook community, I'll post the link in the comments. Join me, because this is the conversation we're having there. How do we have less fear? And when we got it, use it. Use it to confirm we're on track, that we're stepping outside our comfort zone, that we're living our life fully. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm about to head over to the Intuitive Phoenix community, my Facebook group, because I'm going to do a training in about 20 minutes on enhancing your self-healing. Yes, there are things that we can do to enhance our self-healing. So I'm getting ready to head over there. If you want in, join me there if you're already a member. If not, click the link, answer the questions, and I'll meet you over there shortly. All right, everyone. I'm sending lots of love and all things fucking fantastic. Until we connect again, I'll talk to you later.